It was a quiet town in Pennsylvania, the kind of place where everyone knows their neighbors, or so they thought. Margaret Holloway lived on one of those streets, in a big old house that kept its secrets well. She was wealthy, you see, inherited a fortune that could last several lifetimes. But Margaret had a peculiar distrust, a deep-seated fear of banks and financial institutions. She believed her money was only safe where she could see it, where she could touch it. So, she turned her home into a fortress of finance. A personal vault made of plaster and wood. A very unusual way to live. Some might even call it eccentric. Her system was elaborate, a maze of hidden compartments and secret stashes. She didn't just put her cash in a shoebox under the bed. No, that would have been far too simple for Margaret. She tucked bundles of $100 bills inside hollowed-out books in her vast library. She taped envelopes thick with cash to the underside of drawers. She even had a special loose floorboard in the attic, hiding a small fortune. It was a treasure map where only she, the cartographer, knew all the locations. Her life was a solitary one, and she guarded her secrets as fiercely as she guarded her wealth, a fortress of solitude and cash. This wasn't just a hobby, it was a way of life, a ritual. Every week she would withdraw large sums and meticulously squirrel them away. Her logic was her own. In a world of digital transactions and faceless corporations, her cash was tangible. It was real. It was hers. The only person she let into this secret world was her friend, David. He was her confidant, her helper. He knew about her distrust of banks. He even knew about some of the hiding spots. A trusted friend, she thought. The only one who understood her private, peculiar world. He was the keeper of her secrets, or so it seemed. And so, Margaret Holloway lived her days surrounded by her hidden riches. She felt secure in her fortress, safe from the prying eyes of the outside world. The walls of her house were lined not just with wallpaper, but with wealth. A gilded cage of her own making. She had no idea that the greatest danger wasn't from a faceless institution. It wasn't from a stranger breaking in. The real threat was much, much closer. It was already inside the walls. It was a secret that would cost her everything. A secret that would end in silence. And then, in a scream that no one heard. Days turned into a week. The mail piled up on Margaret Holloway's porch. The newspapers lay uncollected on her driveway. For the neighbors on that quiet Pennsylvania street, this was unusual. Margaret was a creature of habit. Her routine was as predictable as the sunrise. When she missed her weekly bridge game, a friend grew concerned. Phone calls went unanswered. Knocks on the grand front door echoed into an unnerving silence. Something was wrong. You could feel it in the air. The house, usually just private, now seemed ominously still. A stillness that felt heavy, final. Finally, the neighbors did what neighbors do. They called the police. An officer arrived, did a walk around. Everything looked normal. The doors were locked. The windows were secure. There was no sign of a break-in. No shattered glass, no splintered wood. It was as if the house was holding its breath. After getting no response, the officers made the decision to force their way inside. They stepped across the threshold into Margaret's world. And that's when they found her. Margaret Holloway was dead. She was found in her living room, the victim of a violent end. The quiet street was about to have a very loud secret. The scene was baffling for the investigators. A murder, yes, but a very clean one. Too clean. The house was locked from the inside. Nothing seemed out of place, except for the most important thing of all. Margaret was gone. As police began their painstaking search, they started to uncover her strange secret. They found the hollowed-out books, the empty envelopes taped under drawers. They found the hiding spots. But the money, all of it, was gone. It was a robbery. But how? How could a robber get in, take the cash from its cryptic locations, and leave without a trace? The answer pointed in one direction, to one person, David. He was the only one who knew. When questioned, he was calm. He had an alibi. He said he hadn't seen Margaret in over a week. He was her friend, he said. He was grieving. The police suspected him. They knew he had to be involved. But suspicion isn't evidence. There was nothing to tie him to the scene. No fingerprints, no DNA, no weapon. The case was a puzzle with the most critical piece missing. And so, with no leads to follow, the investigation stalled. The case of Margaret Holloway's murder went cold. The investigation may have gone cold, but the house on the quiet street did not stay quiet for long. It sat empty, a monument to a brutal and unsolved crime. Soon, strange stories began to circulate among the neighbors. They were just whispers at first. A light flicking on and off in an upstairs window late at night. The faint sound of music, Margaret's favorite classical station, drifting from the sealed house. Most dismissed it as an overactive imagination, grief and mystery playing tricks on the mind. But the stories persisted. They grew more specific, more chilling. People walking their dogs at night would cross to the other side of the street. They spoke of a cold spot on the sidewalk right in front of the Holloway home. Some swore they heard faint whispers coming from the porch, like a sigh on the wind. The house, once just an old building, was becoming a local legend. A place with a story to tell. A story that wasn't finished yet. The police had closed their files, but something inside those walls was just getting started. It was as if the house itself was trying to speak, trying to reveal the secret it held. The new owners, a brave young couple who got the house for a bargain, didn't last long. They reported unsettling occurrences, doors that would close on their own, the distinct feeling of being watched in empty rooms, objects moving from where they had been left. They fled after just a few months, telling friends that the house was not empty, that someone, or something, was still there. The house went back on the market, but this time, no one would buy it. Its reputation was sealed. It was the Holloway house, the haunted house, the murder house. The property sat vacant for years. A team of paranormal investigators, drawn by the escalating rumors, received permission to set up their equipment inside. They placed cameras and audio recorders in every room, hoping to capture something, anything. For weeks, they found nothing but dust and silence. They were about to pack it all in. But then, one night, they captured it. On a motion-activated camera in the master bedroom, a faint, cloudy shape appeared. It was ethereal, almost human-like. The figure seemed to glide across the room and then did something extraordinary. It raised a wispy arm and pointed. It pointed directly at a section of the wall. The footage was grainy, it was hard to make out, but it was undeniable. The ghostly image pointed, and it held its position for several seconds before fading away. The paranormal investigators were stunned. They knew they had to call the police. The detectives who reopened the cold case were skeptical, to say the least. Cops don't hunt ghosts, they hunt killers, but the video was compelling, and the case was ice cold. What did they have to lose? They returned to the house, to the master bedroom, armed with the strange, otherworldly tip. They focused on the area of the wall the figure had indicated. It looked perfectly normal, just wallpaper and plaster. They tapped on it. It sounded solid, but the detective in charge had a hunch. He felt a strange chill in that spot. He ordered his team to break through the wall. Behind the plaster and lath, they found it. A hidden chamber. A small, dark space that wasn't on any of the house's blueprints. And inside that chamber, they found what they were looking for. And so much more. It was a discovery that would blow the case wide open. Inside the secret room, tucked away in a dusty corner, was a metal box. The police pried it open. It was filled with cash. Thousands and thousands of dollars. It was the rest of Margaret's money, a stash that even David hadn't known about. But that wasn't the most important discovery. Beneath the stacks of bills lay a small, heavy hammer. The crime lab would later confirm it was the murder weapon. The final damning piece of evidence was wrapped around the hammer's handle, a small, handwritten note. It was from Margaret. And on it, she had written just one word. A name. David. It was the voice from the grave they had been waiting for. The note, the weapon, the hidden money. It was a complete package. Margaret, it seemed, had one last secret. A final hiding place so clever that her killer had missed it entirely. She had unknowingly left behind the very evidence that would avenge her death. The police now had everything they needed. The ghost in the machine, or whatever it was, had led them directly to the killer's undoing. There would be no more whispers from the walls. It was time for a confession. Justice was finally at hand. The arrest was swift. When the police showed up at David's door, his calm demeanor finally shattered. Presented with the evidence, the weapon, the hidden cash, the note bearing his name, he knew the game was over. He confessed to everything. He told them how he had gone to Margaret's house that night, planning to ask for a loan. They argued. He panicked. He grabbed the nearest heavy object and struck her. Then, driven by greed, he spent hours searching the house, gathering all the cash from the hiding spots he knew. He locked the house from the inside and slipped out, thinking he had committed the perfect crime. During his confession, David told the police something else, something that made the hairs on their arms stand up. He said that Margaret had been haunting him. He claimed he saw her ghostly figure at the foot of his bed at night. He heard her voice, whispering his name when he was alone. He said her spirit gave him no peace. Whether it was a guilty conscience or something more supernatural, no one could say for sure. But he was terrified. David was sentenced to life in prison, condemned to be haunted by his crime for the rest of his days. Justice, it seemed, had been served. The house on the quiet street still stands. It has never been sold again. It remains empty, a dark silhouette against the sky. The stories of its haunting continue to this day. Some say that on quiet nights, you can still see a light in the upstairs window. They say Margaret's spirit, its work now done, is finally at rest. But the house itself holds the memory of what happened. It is a permanent reminder of the chilling events that took place within its walls. A landmark of a local legend that has now become a tale told far and wide. And so, the mystery of Margaret Holloway's murder is solved. A killer is behind bars, brought to justice by a clue from a place no one expected. But a question lingers in the air, as unsettling as a cold spot on a summer night. Was it just a lucky break? A final, clever trick from a woman who was good at hiding things? Or did a voice really reach out from beyond the grave to point the finger at its killer? Some crimes, it seems, never truly rest, and some stories, well, some stories never really end. They just wait in the dark for someone else to listen.